Chapter 16. Helping at Home. You coming with us, Ranger? Luke tipped his head toward the door. Mom's van was running in the driveway. Ranger's first aid kit had stopped humming. He lowered his head, dropped it into his dog bed, and trotted outside after Luke. Ranger sat in the far back with the boxes of freshly washed clothes Luke and Sadie were donating. The laundry soap smell made him sneeze. That made Sadie laugh, and that made Ranger very happy to be home. When they got to the church, people were sorting box after box of clothes and books and toys into baskets for the refugee families. Ranger followed Luke and Sadie up to a table and waited while the volunteers decided who could use their hand-me-downs. "One of our new families just arrived," a woman told Sadie, and pointed toward a picnic table under the Sunday school oak tree. "Would you like to go say hello?" Luke and Sadie walked over to the table. There was a boy about Sadie's age, and another who looked a little older than Luke. Then there was a younger girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and a baby asleep in her mother's arms. "Hi," Sadie waved as they approached. "I'm Sadie, and this is my brother Luke." "And this is Ranger," Luke said. "You can pet him if you want. He's friendly." The children didn't pet Ranger. They looked a little afraid of him, but the mother smiled at Luke and Sadie, and then she said, "English." She held up her fingers close together to show she only understood a tiny pinch of what they said. She put a hand on her chest and said, "Yara." Then she pointed to the younger boy, Amar. His older brother was Syed. The little girl was Seben, and her baby sister, Amara. "Luke," said Luke with a hand on his own chest. He smiled and pointed to Sadie and said her name too. Sadie pointed to the swing set in the church lawn. "Want to play?" The children looked at their mother. She nodded, and they raced across the lawn to the swings. Ranger sat down in the shade to watch. Sabian hesitated a moment, staring at Ranger. Her eyes were dark and curious, like Lily's. One of her brothers called to her, and she ran to a swing. The children slid down the slide and climbed over the monkey bars until Luke and Sadie's dad called them. It was time to go home for supper, so they had to say goodbye and piled into the van. "That was fun," Sadie said. "They're nice. I hope they like it here." "Me too," Mom said. "I'm sure they miss their home terribly, but we'll do all we can to make them feel welcome." "Maybe they'll like soccer," Luke said, and leaned back to pet Ranger. "Hey, you've got a feather stuck in your fur." He pulled the tiny bright canary feather from under Ranger's collar. "You haven't been chasing birds, have you?" Mom looked over her shoulder. "That doesn't look like it's from one of the robins or sparrows that visit my feeder," she said. "Maybe it fell off a fancy hat someone donated at the church." Ranger gave a quiet bark and nuzzled Luke's hand. Luke laughed as they pulled back into the driveway. "Don't worry, you can have it back. And I know how you are about the stuff you find. I'll even carry it to your dog bed so you don't get it all drooly." They went inside, and Luke dropped the feather over Ranger's blanket. It drifted back and forth and came to a rest in a fold beside the other gifts from the children Ranger had met on his journeys. Ranger pawed his blanket over the treasures. Then something light brown and fluffy caught his eye in the window. Ranger barked. "What's up, boy?" Luke said. "You want to go back out and play?" Ranger did, because Lily was safe now, in her new home with the Wong family. His work was finally done, and there was still time to chase a few squirrels before supper.